Capital raising is frustrating, but when you realize some of the dumb things that you do, it becomes even more frustrating. In this video, we're going to be talking about the 10 amazingly simple and dumb things that you can do to absolutely up your capital raising. Like the video, give it a thumbs up, share it to anyone that you feel might be relevant, and also subscribe to our channel for more content just like this. In the last 11 years, working with over 1,500 companies, we have seen some incredibly dumb things that people have done and also that I've done myself during the capital raising process. In doing this video, I want to take you through the top 10. Now, if you found you have done some of these, don't send me any hate mail. Just understand that I've probably done it myself as well. The whole idea about this video is to not shame anyone. The whole idea about this video is to let you know what is, how can we say it, appropriate and also what is inappropriate when you're going through the capital raising process. Because sometimes we make super simple mistakes that end up biting us when we're going through the process. I want to make it as easy for you as possible. So let's go through the top 10. Number 1, okay, getting your assistant to follow up on your capital raising registrations of interest. I kid you not, one of the craziest things I've seen, we watched one of our clients get a whole bunch of interest in their capital raising. First thing they actually did was they got their assistant to follow up with the investors to help try and convert them in the capital raising. Amazingly, they were unable to raise any money, right? This is probably more common than what you would actually expect. So number 1, do not get your assistant to follow up on your capital raising inquiries. Okay, number 2, this was one of my favorite things that I saw that I just wanted to slap myself in the face. Actually, I thought about punching myself in the face when I saw this one. So once again, we promoted a client. They received 140 registrations of interest. We were enthusiastic for the client. We were excited about it. Their advisor got that email list. I kid you not. They actually sent an email out to that entire list. They didn't even reference the individual name, and they CC'd every single other person on that list. If you want to highlight one of the top 10 ways, I just could not think of a better example to include in this list. Sending out 140 emails and CCing every other person that got in that email and just writing hi, comma. Not even a personal email to that person that just expressed interest in the capital raise. That is number 2 on the top 10 list of amazingly dumb, simple things you can do to fuck up your capital raising. Okay, number 3, here we go. Another one, not so much, I'm going to be as harsh on this one as what the other one is, but it's a common one that companies do. Once again, we promoted the company, we had 120 registrations of interest come in, and what the founder decided to do as a first step, he thought, you know what? I want to cull this list as simple as possible to get down to the people that are really serious. So what they did as a first move, their first email to that list was, thanks so much for your interest. Can you please sign this NDA before we give you access to any more information? Now, if you want to make sure that no investor actually wants to reply to you, that is probably one of the best ways to go about it. Now look, I know you're passionate, you're sensitive, you're worried about your information going out. Just go have a look online about how many investors actually love signing NDAs as a first step in a capital raising. You will find that it's none, right? So that is number 3 on the list. Trying to get an investor to sign an NDA as a first step before a first discussion, before a first anything. Number 4. Now, this was a new one for me, and it's a bit of a tricky one. Now, the company thought they were doing the right thing in this process. What they actually did was I had a conversation with them, and I was asking them how they're going with their capital raising, and they said, we're going really, really well. What we've got, because of the size of the investors that we're dealing with, we've got different people dealing with different investors. Now, in managing a capital raising process, for me, I am the only one that will manage the capital raise, and I've got one other team member that I would work with to do it because they've got specific corporate advisory experience and have actually worked with the investors before. So number 4 on the list is having multiple people, and I mean, when I say multiple, more than 2 people in your team actually manage the capital raising process with investors. Even in investment banks, they will have a lead person that is managing the capital raise and then actually is doing all the discussions and negotiations with investors, right? They do not spread it out to a team of 5 people. They have one person that leads the discussion. They do have other team members that work with them on the capital raising, but they have one person that leads the discussions with potential investors, right? If it's 2, because you need someone else to help you, make sure that they have actually raised money beforehand. Just because they know your product, that doesn't mean they can like I'm still learning about the capital raising process, right? So let alone having 4 team members, right, be involved, 4 or 5 team members be involved, that is one of the worst things that you could do to try and get. In fact, to give you an idea, I had an investor send me an email because I asked them how they're going to discussions. Their first feedback was, we let go of the opportunity because they were significantly disorganized and it was like the founder didn't want to speak to any investors, right? That was the feedback from an investor and they were a very significant size fund. So that is number 4 on the list. Okay, number 5. This was another favorite one for me. One of our significant investors in Singapore, once again, one of the ways that we get feedback about clients is we like to ask investors, especially when we know them, we ask them how they're going with their discussions. And we know that they express interest into our client. And I was back in Singapore and the investor said, "Oh, Steve, I've got a funny story for you." I said, "Sure." He goes, "Do you remember when you were here last time?" I was like, "Yeah." So that time before was like 4 months ago. He goes, "Well, we expressed interest in one of your companies and we gave them a list of questions that we wanted answered." He goes, "Would you like to know how long it took them to reply to our list of questions?" I go, "Sure, come and surprise me." 4 months. Let me make this absolutely clear. If it takes you 4 months to reply to investors' questions about your business, that opportunity is what you could wholeheartedly call dead. Absolutely dead. So number 5 on the list is taking months and months to reply to an investor's list of questions. So that rounds out your top 5 so far. Now we're going to move into the next 5.